You know me from FTN Fantasy. I'm the deep. Oh, we had a problem.
Yeah, it just popped now. Hi. Well, start over. Just start over. No?
Okay.
Start over?
We're going to start with the theme song again. Here we go. Monday Night Football picks and a Week 1 recap. Hi, welcome to the FTN Fantasy Schatz and Tanier NFL podcast. This time it seems to be working. I'm Aaron Schatz from FTN Fantasy. He's Mike Tanier from the Two Deep Zone at miketanier.substack.com. And we are here to talk about Week 1 in the NFL. First, just to remind you of our sponsor, it's Underdog Fantasy. The NFL season is back, and there's no better way to celebrate than with Underdog Fantasy. It is the easiest place to play fantasy sports and the fastest growing fantasy app in the industry. Underdog is now offering a new customer FTN special with up to $1,000 on your first time deposit. The Underdog app is easy to use, and weekly contests such as the onside kick, the double doink, and the 2-minute drill are all back. Head over to Underdog for a deposit match up to $1,000 when you sign up with code FTN. NFL season is here. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to celebrate the NFL season. All right, Mike. So I was looking for sort of an overriding story of Week 1, and I think it was that the rookie quarterbacks were bad.
You are right. Aren't you glad that we were not on the train of which of these guys is the most like Patrick Mahomes and which is the most
Well, what I said was that of all the rookie quarterbacks, it's probably one of them will be good and one of them will be horrendous, and the other couple will just be kind of bad. Now, I said Anthony Richardson should count among the rookie quarterbacks, and he was good.
Yeah, but let's count Will Levis among the rookie quarterbacks under the same circumstances.
And, well, he played a little bit more than Richardson last year, but he was bad.
He was good. A little bit more, yes. But of the rookies, it was 3 welcome to the NFL experiences.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels was, I think, a little bit better, partly because of the running.
Yeah.
He had running value. It was interesting, Diami Brown is their number 2 receiver. He didn't throw to him once, only threw to McLaurin 4 times.
Almost all of his passes were little throws to the backs underneath, to Robinson, to Eckler, and almost like in the middle of the field, not into the flats. That's most of the passing he was doing. A lot of design runs, a lot of scrambling, and a lot of garbage time, too, because the Buccaneers were in control for most of that game.
And speaking of throws underneath, Bo Nix.
Yes. Bonnie Prince Beauregard sideways. The man who has innovated the air inch. And this is Sean Payton, and this is Sean Payton by design, and this is what we expected. Like, he's going to get the ball out of his hands quickly and dump it into the flats to the running backs. We had no idea that meant he was just going to dump the ball to a covered running back about 6 feet away from him on the field and let that running back just get hammered time after time after time as the Seahawks defense waited for him. Jaleel McLaughlin, I asked you to pull this for me because Jaleel McLaughlin, I thought he was going to set some kind of low DER record in terms of how bad his performance was.
Nope, just the worst of the week, not a record.
Okay, well, he had 5 targets, 5 receptions, 1 yard. And it was not his fault, obviously. The ball gets to him. He turns around, 2 defenders hammer him. Also on one of them, finally, someone just sideswipes him. And he fumbles, and that gives the Seahawks, well, the Seahawks were playing very poorly as well for most of this game. They had 2 safeties. But that gives the Seahawks the ball to set up a score that lets them go ahead. But, I mean, Peyton was like, it was almost like helicopter parenting Bo Nix in that, throw a 1-yard pass, very good. Throw a 1-yard pass, now we'll punt. And that was the entire game until garbage time.
So I have a couple of categories of things for us to discuss. And don't forget, if you watch us live, this is our first Monday show. We're on Mondays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can ask questions and make comments. We'll put them on the little screen. Which team most surprised you by being better than you expected?
I am going to go with those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They ran the ball better than I expected. The new offense is more dynamic. Certainly, the Liam Cohen offense is more McVay-like than that 1974 thing they ran last year.
I saw a stat, by the way, that Bucky Irving had more rushing yards than every other rookie running back combined this week.
Really?
Yeah.
He had a nice little game. I didn't know it was that good.
Blake Corum did not see a snap for the Rams.
Oh, that's a good point. There was a lot of Kyron Williams. I'm guessing it was a pass protection thing.
Yeah, probably.
Like, we're not putting the rookie out there when our left tackle's out, and we need to do everything to protect Stafford.
But back to the Buccaneers. Yes, they were impressive.
Yes. Defense looked very good. Protection looked, and we know about Evans. We know about Godwin. Obviously, these guys can play. They're getting them the ball in different ways, and they're using the secondary players more. And yeah, Irving is a more dynamic back. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. I'm not predicting a Super Bowl or anything, but it reinforces some of the things that we were saying about the NFC South.
I'm going to pick two better than I expected. The first is the Steelers' defense. You know, DVOA had them regressing. They certainly didn't look like they are regressing.
They got a little help from the Falcons, but
yeah, they got a little help from the fact that Kirk Cousins can't move.
Yeah, right.
So they never put him under center, and they never play action the whole game. That is not going to work in the long term. Like, that is a problem.
They never play actioned him, or
they did not run a play action all game.
Most of their game plan was Bijan. So you're going to run Bijan a lot. I mean, they ran him like 12 times in the first half, but not run play action off of it.
Right. And, we always talk about play action does not actually require the run
to
work, because the running back, there's the fear of the handoff, even if it's the first play of the game. If Bijan Robinson is the running back, the play action fear starts on the first play of the game.
And it just naturally freezes the underneath no matter what.
And they never used it because they're afraid of Cousins moving around.
And Cousins in the past was a good rollout passer. They had a lot of designs in Minnesota where he would do a play action, roll out, get the ball to a tight end, etc. Taking that out of his game. I watched that, and I watched some of the hilarity. I watched the ball bounce off of the motion man's hip when he goes in motion for the snap, et cetera, et cetera. But I guess I didn't notice how one-dimensional or zero-dimensional the Falcons passing game.
Red Matt says, now the rationale for drafting Penix becomes clear. If Cousins is like this for another 3 weeks, we are going to be in narrative hell.
The rationale for drafting Penix becomes clear, and the narrative for signing Cousins becomes incomprehensible.
Right, because didn't you work this guy out before you gave him all this money to find out whether he was mobile?
Right. And I know
just that he needs time to come back from the Achilles, and in 2 months he'll be fine. I don't.
Then you keep Heineke. You should have kept Heineke around if that's how immobile, how limited they're going to be.
The other team that was better than I expected was the Eagles.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is DVOA disagrees. They actually ended up with a lower DVOA than Green Bay, although they had a bigger post-game win expectancy because they were better passing the ball than Green Bay, and they had more plays than Green Bay. It was a better overall performance as far as like the performance itself as opposed to the predictive value. But when I look at the Eagles, I was like, first of all, I know they had a couple of messed up snaps, but the blocking from the offensive line did not miss Kelsey as much as I expected. Right. Like the actual, like Mekhi Becton also.
Yeah, he's playing pretty darn good.
He's playing well. Like, what's his name? The offensive line coach.
Southland.
Is amazing.
Yes. And getting Beckham's mind right is amazing. And of course, we'll see if his body holds out.
And then the defense, once you control for the fact that the Packers are a pretty good offense and that there were a couple of blown coverages.
Yeah.
I thought the defense was better than I expected to.
You saw good plays from Zach Baum. Thank you, Saints, for not paying him because you paid everybody else. The Eagles will take him. Nakobe Dean had a couple of whiffs, but made a couple of big plays. And I'm surprised by the DVOA because I look at those snaps.
Yeah, I'm surprised too, by the way.
Okay. Because I look at those snaps, and like those snaps are like a touchdown swing overall. One at the end, the Jordan Love injury doesn't happen if there's not a bad snap at the very end of the game because the Eagles probably get a touchdown. One at the beginning gives the Packers a field goal. And also, I look at some of the defensive penalties that extended drives. There are a couple of roughness fouls
Yeah.
And they had a huge impact because there were some stalled Packers drives that continued. Because
I know, and those aren't in DVOA, so you would think that the Eagles would come out higher, and yet, yeah, I was a little surprised too. But my eyesight certainly, I felt like the Eagles, they played better than I expected, and the Packers are a good team. They did it against a good team.
Right.
What team surprised you by being worse than you expected?
Jacksonville Jaguars, I was optimistic that they're going to put a lot of the problems in the second half of the season behind them. I chalked a lot of that up to Trevor Lawrence's injury and sort of a snowballing effect, kind of like what the Eagles went through. They come out in this game, they take a lead. It looked like they've kind of got control over things because the Dolphins, dealing with some stuff before the game, and then they come out and they're missing fourth down conversions and stuff like that. And then the Jaguars just go into this fugue state with the fumble going in by ETN, turn around the 80-yard play to Tyreek, and then they should be in this game. There's plenty of chances to stay in this game. They can't move the ball. They're committing penalties. They just look flat and listless, and they hang around until the Dolphins come out and get the win.
I will say on the Tyreek Hill touchdown, I don't know what the Jaguars are supposed to do. like the Jaguars defensive backs took a fine angle.
Yeah.
Hill is just too fast. There's just nothing you can do.
Right. When you combine that with the play before it, losing,
it's all the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And like a 14-point mood swing, and then you're done for the day. And that feels too much like a Jaguars team I've seen in the past, and like an Eagles team I saw a lot in the late 2010s.
My team that was worse than expected is the Cincinnati Bengals. Although both of us picked, I'm not picking every game against the spread anymore, but I'm still doing my little system just to figure out what picks I do want to make. And it did have the Patriots pick, and you said you put money on the Patriots plus 7.5. And especially with T. Higgins out, we both thought this game would be a little closer than the line. But honestly, the Bengals just looked bored. Jamar Chase complained afterwards about the coaches not getting him the ball. It's not the coach's fault. It's not like they didn't put you out there and not have you run routes. Like right. Jamar Chase Christian Gonzalez locked him down. Chase's one big play was a zone coverage where Gonzalez was not near him. And they really kind of learned that without Higgins and Boyd around, a top corner may be able to shut Chase down. And then they're not getting as much from the other guys, Yoshavash and Irwin and stuff.
Right.
They need Higgins back.
Right. I mean, you just named the names of the other guys like, oh, that's not who you can rely upon in your passing game. And
those guys are good threes, but they're not good twos.
Yeah, and they're okay threes, I guess. They did try to get the ball to Chase. They were trying to work all these little in-space plays to
once they realized that Gonzalez had him locked, they started did a screen to him and little curl, like a curl where Gonzalez had to obey. He had to respect the speed, so he had to play back. So they would just run a little curl for 8 yards or whatever. Yeah.
It was unbelievably flat. I kept waiting, when are they going to wake up? They had touchdown nullified by penalty, followed by a fumble. They had, what was it, a return touchdown? They fumbled a punt return.
No, fumbled a punt return, yeah.
They fumbled with Charlie Jones, another one of their receivers fumbles that punt return. And I guess what was mind-boggling was when they punted late in the game. That was absolutely mind-boggling. It's 4th and 5. You have Burrow, you have Chase, you have a gazillion-dollar offensive line. You can't find 6 yards to get down the field and score. You're going to trust your defense to make an absolute do-or-die stop, 1 first down, and it's over.
And by the way, their run defense was pushed around all day by a bad offensive line.
Right. They could rush Brissett. I watched them. They're just getting pressure on Brissett. Brissett's getting rid of the ball.
But running game-wise, they were getting pushed back.
This is bad.
Hendrickson was good. Hendrickson had a good game.
Mm-hmm.
He got to Brissett a couple of times where Brissett just got it off.
It's not a good sign if they're already chirping at their own coaching staff a little bit. Definitely not a good sign.
Jim Steckschulte says, do either of you have a favorite week 1 overreaction that you have already seen? I think the overreactions have been low this year. I'm kind of pleasantly surprised by how much everybody's taking a little bit of a wait and see attitude. I think the one overreaction I've already seen is that we finally reached equilibrium between passing and running because the quarterbacks had a bad week in week 1, that means that we finally reached the point where running is as efficient as passing again.
Ugh.
Like it's 1983 again. Like it's 1 week, guys. Like, let's not go crazy.
Yeah, you know what? Part of it is I've muted a lot of the super overreaction-y guys, and it's
right. I'm not like paying attention to Skip Bayless.
Right, and the midday shows haven't come out yet, so I don't know some of them. And some of the ones like, are the Giants, the worst team in the NFL, or are the Panthers? Those are accurate. Those are accurate reactions, I think. The one I think I plan to talk about it a little bit is there was a lot of Xavier worthy takes coming out of Thursday night.
Yes.
And I think he's going to be very, very good, but he's going to be this one-dimensional speed burner, reverse and screen and clear route guy. And there was a lot of, man, if the Bills should have gotten this guy. And it's like,
first of all, Keon Coleman was good.
Yeah, he played well. They moved the
and
ball.
Second of all, that first, the end around was awesome. But that second one, I would have scored on. He was so unbelievably not covered on the second touchdown.
He was. And again, I think he's going to have value. I'm not a huge Keon Coleman fan here, but let's pump the brakes.
He had a good first week, though.
Yeah, it is week 1, and Coleman did play well against the Cardinals.
Yeah. Useful Title points out, by the way, that poor Munich, Germany is getting the Giants versus the Panthers. Way to spread the game, guys.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Don't want to get them mad. By the way, your system, I made money on the Vikings off of your picks.
Yep.
I made money on the Patriots off of your picks. I think you had the Cowboys.
I did have the Cowboys.
Yeah, I made my, and of course I ignored the Falcons pick because never bet on the Falcons. Had a really good weekend. The picks are cruising right now. Just ignore the Falcons.
So let's take some victory laps.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to go first because Andrew Daly says I need to take a Saints victory lap.
Beautiful.
Saints Saints. How about those? Now, I mean, come on. First of all, we all know the Panthers are bad. Second of all, it's just one game. But I think they went out there and showed they don't suck.
They definitely don't suck. And it's the veterans on the defense. They got speed on the offense. Guys like Rashid Shaheed are young players who can.
Yeah, and they won big without getting much out of their best wide receiver, Olave.
Right. Although, I just started dipping into the tape of that. They were playing Coastal Carolina. They really.
The Panthers are, yeah. Yeah, but Shaheed on his long touchdown beat J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn is a good player.
That is, and Horn is a good player. He was isolated, but he should have been able to stay within 2 yards of Shaheed, which he didn't. But that's the point of your projections: is they're going to play the Panthers again. They're going to face this team again. Their schedule.
Right. They're going to play the Falcons twice with Kirk Cousins can't move around.
Right. So you get split against the Buccaneers, and you start racking up these wins. All of these weaker opponents. We see how bad the bad teams are. We see how bad the Raiders were, how bad the Giants were, all these terrible teams. You start to appreciate the sort of mediocrity, professional mediocrity of a team like the Saints and what that can do in terms of overs and stuff.
Speaking of which, Antonio Pierce going on 4th and 1, not going for it on 4th and 1 in opposing territory while losing in the fourth quarter with like 4 minutes left. So what the hell, dude?
I know. I missed that and walked through and I saw it and I was like,
there's conservative and then there's insane.
Right. And this is who we are. Tough team, 3 tight end offense, but we're not doing this against this team. Let's get the ball back to the Chargers and let's give Herbert and company a chance to jam it down our throats, which they did.
What is your victory lap of the day?
It was that Cowboys-Browns game. We talked about it on Thursday. I was gobsmacked that the Browns were still 2-point favorites when I played it on Sunday morning, when we knew their tackles were injured, when we knew both offensive tackles were injured. And it highlights both sides of things. One, we're on year 3 of Deshaun Watson's not that guy anymore.
No.
He is not. It's not coming back. It's never happening. It's kind of a Russell Wilson.
It's not just stats, too. If you read people who do film, he's making bad decisions. And he's missing open guys. Like it's bad.
Yeah, he's missing by 3-4 yards on these passes. The balls are just sailing out of bounds, or they're bouncing up to guys, or he's
not seeing them in the first place, or guys are open and he's just not throwing the ball.
Not seeing it. He doesn't look comfortable. He bails from the pocket. He doesn't run that well anymore. He runs okay, but like he's bailing from the pocket, getting chased down from behind by Eric Kendricks types. And the flip side of it is this Cowboys team that we just roasted for 6 months for contractual reasons and for, Jerry reasons. And you come out in the field with a paid Prescott, a paid CD Lamb, Micah Parsons, Trevon Diggs, and you're significantly better than this class of team. You're in this position where you're going to go out there and win a ton of games this year based on.
And I've got to think that the paying of Micah Parsons is coming.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. They're not letting him hit free agency.
Oh, no. I mean, they might turn it into another drama because it's what they do now. But the cap issues are pretty much 2026 issues. Like, whatever happens with this cap, it's pushed 2 years down the line. They had tons of money to spend. And, yeah, this may mean, obviously, the Tank Lawrence is going to go and all these other guys are going to go. But they didn't create, like, this headache for themselves next year. They solved this year's problem and kind of solved next year's problem once Mike is taken care of.
Yeah. All right, let me count down the DVOA top 10, give a little bit of a preview for everybody. Now, of course, these are not adjusted for opponent.
Saints are going to be
not
nuts.
Yet adjusted for opponent.
Saints are going to be nuts.
Number 10, Buffalo.
All right.
Number 9, Kansas City.
Yeah.
8, Houston. 7, New England.
Oh, heavens.
6, the Chargers. 5, Tampa. And then a big gap to the final 4 teams.
Okay.
Seattle.
Oh, no.
Dallas.
Okay.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
And number 1, New Orleans. Whooping, again, no opponent adjustments yet. New Orleans whooping ass on the Central Carolina Panthers. Carolina last in DVOA. New Orleans 102%. Carolina minus 93%.
Unbelievable. Can I complain about the Seahawks?
Tell me. Yeah, I mean that's Denver being bad, I guess, more than the Seahawks being good based on you watching the game.
DVOA, because of all the 1-yard passes, must have been amazing. 2 safeties, a fumble near their own goal line. I think it was a muff punt. Another almost safety where they get just pinned in their own yard line, and they interception on the second play from scrimmage. And they don't really start moving the ball until after the fumble I talked about earlier, which gives them good field position that they turned into a score. And then they kind of roll a little bit. I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they rank that high considering all the miscues on their end.
Speaking of which, by the way, the new model for kickoffs, I made it so that muffed kickoffs were no penalty because I thought that the way that the players are now aligned, if you drop a kickoff, there's no way that the defense is going to make it down to you in time to pick it up.
That's a good point.
I didn't realize that Velus Jones
yes. He's a thing, isn't he?
He was going to drop the ball 15 yards forward.
He's a remarkable individual. He's on that Jalen Reagor team of like, how is this still happening?
Jim Steckschulte wants to know, the Browns have been ruined for the foreseeable future due to the Watson trade and contract, haven't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They owe him so much money for the next couple of years. It is really hard to imagine them putting together a good offense to go with that good defense. Yeah.
And I don't think they can bail on him financially next year. They can't bail on him this year. And obviously everything's possible, but like the dead money hit becomes something where you can barely field a team where he's at. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's beyond like the Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it's in the 80 million or something like ridiculous. Right.
It's an extreme amount of money where you are basically either saying, "Oh, well, we hope the Dak Prescott lands in our lap in the 6th round," or we just can't be competitive. They are burned.
Monday Night Football. Yes. Jets at 49ers -4. Yeah. I will point out that we know nothing about the Jets offense based on last year because Aaron Rodgers, but the Jets defense last year was 4th on first down, really high on second down, and 23rd on third down. So that Jets defense might be even better this year.
Except that their number one edge rusher is not here.
Nowhere to be found.
Not here in 856. He's not where he lives. He's
Their
not.
corners are really good. But yeah,
Corners.
the good thing is that they have depth at edge rusher, right? They've got like Will McDonald barely played last year as a rookie. So
Right. They have depth at that position, depth in the secondary. I'm wondering now if everything you described about the Falcons and again Kirk Cousins, is that the shape of things to come with Aaron Rodgers in a few hours?
now here's the interesting question about that. Is Rodgers' Achilles injury is 2 months older than Cousins?
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay.
So is it possible that Rodgers is more recovered than Cousins is? I think that is a definite possibility that Rodgers will be able to move around in a way that Cousins was not.
Possibly. He's also 4 years older than Cousins.
He's also 4 years older.
Flips it in the other direction. And it's such a mystery box right now because, again, we can't base anything on last year. We can't base anything on the preseason where they were in the skunk works. So, the one thing I can base things on is the San Francisco 49ers, who are more or less full strength. I don't have a McCaffrey injury report.
Yeah, Ayuk is apparently going to maybe not play a full amount of snaps, but he's there. Okay. He'll play. Believe me, when Ayuk is in the game, they'll throw to Ayuk. I'm not worried about that. And I'm not really that worried about McCaffrey.
No, and I'm not worried about Williams to that much of a degree. That's the known commodity right now, is the team that almost won the Super Bowl last year that's pretty much back at full speed. And I'm seeing them laying 4.
I would take the 49ers -4 at home.
Yes. I would take them laying 4. Absolutely. I've got no sense of the over-under on this because, again, I don't know.
I forgot to write down what it is.
It's 43. Yeah.
I guess early in the season, I tend to go over on those low numbers and under on the high numbers. So, yeah.
Right. You're going against certainty, against false certainty there.
Jake Silverman wants to know if you have a specific take on the Hassan Reddick situation. The things that again, I'm not in the locker room. The things that I've read seem to suggest that he's serious. He doesn't want to play for them.
He might not want to play anymore. I'm not sure. I'm not basing this on things come through the rumor mill nearby because he does live nearby, but this is not based on that. The sense that he's fine, financially he's fine. And if he doesn't get what he wants, he'll just wait on it. It's weird, but for him to let this go this long and to not have his side of the story coming out and the whole thing went down suggests that it's maybe almost like an Andrew Luck type situation where it's well, take it or leave it at this point.
Yeah. All right, that does it for Monday, everybody. Enjoy Monday Night Football. Don't forget to read the Too Deep Zone, miketanier.substack.com. Make sure you're subscribed for all the DVOA numbers at FTN. We should have everything up on the Stats Hub by midday with all kinds of good stuff. And we'll be back Thursday to preview week 2 in the NFL. So long, everybody.